This week, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series heads to Cedar Lake Speedway for the coveted USA Nationals. Was it finally time for the Rocket to grab a crown jewel? And the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series took on the Midwest, returning to Bloomington Speedway in Indiana and taking on I-55 in the Ironman. This and more next on this week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly. This week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly gets underway with the prestigious 24th Annual USA Nationals at Cedar Lake Speedway for the World of Outlaws Late Models Series. Jason Round in car number 98 would bring the field down to green from the pole position. Round swept Friday night qualifying by setting quick time, winning his heat race and the dash to start on the pole position, and he looked fantastic to start this event out ahead of Jimmy Mars. Racing action was fast and furious back through the field, 3 wide here going into corner number 3 between Frankie Heckenast, Brady Smith, and Jared Hawkins. Great racing throughout the field. Meanwhile, up front, Josh Richards began to make his move, pulling to the inside of Jimmy Mars out of corner number 4. Richards was in search of his first Crown Jewel late model win of his career and a $50,000 one to boot. But Jimmy Mars would not give up as Richards hops the cushion out of corner number 2. Mars would steam on past to retake the runner-up position. Later, however, a caution for Chris Simpson in car number 32 on the outside of corner number 2 would rebunch the field for the Delaware double file restart. Richards got the inside position for row number 1. He pulled back to the inside of Mars to take the runner-up spot, trying to chase down leader Jason Round in car number 98. Brian Burkhofer, though, proved to be one of the fastest cars on the speedway. Here he pulls to the inside of Richards, makes contact. The only thing keeping Richards going was Jared Hawkins in the 37. Hawkins made enough contact to end his day. Richards rolled on, and here shows his displeasure with the 15B of Brian Burkhofer as the two of each other exchange pleasantries going into corner number 1. Burkhofer continued his run on the outside of the speedway, pulling back around Richards for the runner-up spot out of turn number 2, trying to grab the lead down the back straightaway. Burkhofer in the 15B looked like the man to beat in the closing stages of the race, but Richards, the Rocket on the outside, puts the hammer down and drives back around into position number 2. After dogging Round for several laps, Richards would not be denied, pulling to the inside of the number 98 machine out of corner number 2 to take the race lead on lap number 78. The Rocket would go on to victory, picking up his first major win in late model racing, the USA Nationals. Burkhofer came home second ahead of Jimmy Mars, Round, and Darrell Lanigan. On Monday night, the World of Outlaws Late Model Series traveled down the road to Independence, Iowa, and Independence Motor Speedway to complete a rained-out show from earlier this season, and it was Mr. Smooth Billy Moyer and the Rocket Josh Richards bringing the field to green. Richards, the USA Nationals champion, moved to the top side of the speedway, moving around Moyer for the race lead to complete lap number 1. A caution later on for a slowing Shane Clanton on the back straightaway would bunch up the field and give your World of Outlaws point leader Rick Eckert the chance he needed to move through the field in car number 24. Here pulling to the outside of the 15 of Brian Burkhofer. Then he pulls to the low side of Moyer going into corner number 3. Rolls on the bottom side of the speedway to take the runner-up spot out of turn number 4. Later, T-Mac Timmy McCready in trouble going into corner number 1. He made hard contact with World of Outlaws late model rookie John Lobb. McCready was done for the night, also ending a superb run of great finishes for McCready leading up to Monday night. Rick Eckert, though, he would charge on in the late stages of the race, trying to take the race lead from Richards in the corner number 1 and extend his World of Outlaws point lead. But Richards slammed the door shut, and from that point on would race on to victory, his 6th World of Outlaws Late Model Series win of the season.
Yeah, just slipped up out of the groove off the forward, trying to get my lap cars, and missed the groove. I knew he was coming. I knew the only shot I had was to try to get down as quick as possible and hold him down in 1 and 2. I didn't want to let him by. You know, gained a few points here, but it's obviously hard to gain when, you know, we want him to run second. But we've had a great car all year. I got to thank all my guys, my dad, Matt, Jimmy, Joe, Ron Slavic. It's been a good weekend.
Eckert came home in second ahead of Clint Smith, Brian Burkhofer, and Austin Hubbard in the top 5. With the win, Richards closes the championship point lead to just 56 markers behind Eckert and holds an 86-point edge on Darrell Lanigan. The Outlaws next in action Friday, August 19th at Winston Raceway, followed the next night at Merritt Raceway. We'll be back with more next, right here on 4 Wide Weekly.
Dirt racing's most celebrated stars. An electrifying atmosphere. Glory-filled heroics. A spectacle unlike any other. It's the World of Outlaws World Finals. All dirt roads lead to Charlotte as the World of Outlaws sprint cars, late models, and super dirt big block modifieds converge for one mind-blowing weekend. 3-day reserve seat packages, including your free pit pass, are on sale now at CharlotteMotorspeedway.com. November 3rd, 4th, and 5th. The dirt track at Charlotte.
Welcome back to this week's edition of 4 Wide Weekly. Friday night, the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series returned to Bloomington Speedway in Indiana, with Donnie Schatz and Double Down Jason Sides starting up there on row number 1. Quite a spirited battle up front throughout the entire race between Schatz, Sides, and Lucas Wolf, who also threw his hat into the ring here, pulling to the inside of Sides, now trying to chase down race leader Schatz down the back straightaway. Sides would eventually pick off the race lead from Schatz down the front straight into corner number 1 to take the race lead on 4-time champion Schatz. But Donnie was strong on the top side of the speedway, retaking the race lead out of the outside of corner number 4. Schatz was out front looking for his 4th win of the season, and he got a little help here. Jason Sides brakes going into corner number 1, pulling out of the event. A tough break for Double Down. Schatz would go on to cross the line, picking up the win, and the Outlaws return to Bloomington Speedway for his 4th win of the season on the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series. Lucas Wolf came home in second ahead of Paul McMahon, Chad Kemenaugh, and Jason Myers in the top 5.
It was a great night. Got qualified well, got good going through the heat good, and just a fun race actually. Got kind of hairy there from time to time in lap traffic, but you could move all over. My race car was good on the bottom, good on the top, it was good through the middle, so just can't ask for a better race car tonight.
Saturday night, it was the 3rd installment of the Ironman 55 at I-55 Raceway in Pevely, Missouri, the longest and most grueling race on the World of Outlaws schedule. Jason Sides led the first 3 laps in the 7S, but Greg Delansky, who always runs good at I-55, proved it out of corner number 4 with a power move to take the race lead. Brad Sweet in the Red Bull car number 9, taking over for Joey Saldana, began to make a charge in the middle portion of the race here, taking the runner-up spot from Sides out of turn number 2 as Lucas Wolf follows on through. Sweet would then give a challenge for the race lead as Delansky moves to the high side in corner number 1, giving Sweet the low line, but Delansky pulls the crossover move down the back straightaway to retake the race lead into corner number 3. By race's end, Jason Myers proved to be Delansky's biggest foe in the DD&I car number 14, but again, Delansky just too strong with another crossover down the back straightaway to retake the point from Myers. Delansky would go on to pick up the Ironman 55 win, his 7th win on the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series this season, behind the wheel of the big game tree stands machine. Last year's Ironman champion Jason Myers came home in the runner-up spot ahead of Lucas Wolf with another top 5 finish. Kerry Madsen came home in 4th. Donnie Schatz rounded out the top 5.
I tell you what, man, they don't call it the Ironman for nothing. I am spent. But what a great win to get our 7th win on. This event's been pretty successful. It was great to see the crowd here tonight, and a great race. I mean, there was a lot going on, and it was intense, and a demanding racetrack, and to come out on top, just an awesome accomplishment for this entire race team.
Jason Myers continues to hold the series point lead over Donnie Schatz, Steve Kinzer, Craig Delansky, and Paul McMahon. The Outlaws next in competition this week, the 51st annual Goodyear Knoxville Nationals. In this week's 4Wide.TV Power Rankings, your 2 big money winners over the weekend lead the way, including USA Nationals champion Josh Richards and your Ironman 55 champion Craig Delansky. Jason Myers, Darrell Lanigan, and the Super Dirt Car Series championship leader Matt Shepard round out the top 5. Be sure to tune in to next Wednesday's edition of 4 Wide Weekly as we bring you comprehensive day-by-day coverage of the 51st Annual Knoxville Nationals from Knoxville, Iowa.